Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's remarkable contribution was the Brahma Samhita, which he has authored, translated, and commented upon. The Brahma Samhita is one of the prayers which is sung. Two of its verses are sung every day all over the world at all of our ISKCON temples at the Darshan Aarti time. Famously sung by Her Grace Yamuna Devi Mataji.
If I could perfectly deliver even one soul back home, back to Godhead, I would think my mission propagating Krishna consciousness to be successful. Murkanisha Shudramuni Vishaya Lalasa Vaishnavagne Balekare Itika Sahasa. I am foolish, low-born, and insignificant, and I always desire material enjoyment. Yet, by the order of the Vaishnavas, I am bold enough to write this book, Chaitanya Charitamrita 1.8.83. First of all, I offer my most humble and respectful obeisances to all the Matajis gathered here on Zoom Meet. Thank you so much to Her Grace Malini Sundari Mataji for this opportunity to speak and read, I must say, because most are excerpts from the book Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava by His Holiness Bhakti Vikasa Swami. In Maharaja's words, it is practically a joke that such a minuscule insect as myself would dare to write about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura. And from me, I have such an audacity to even attempt to speak and make a presentation here. I most humbly pray for all your blessings to be able to glorify Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur today so that I may purify my existence and make some advancement on the path of bhakti. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Jayapataka Swaminiti Namine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayini Kaurakata Damadaya Nagara Gramatarini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayatya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Ujjvala Prematya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigraya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtadina Tarine Rupanuga Virudappa Siddhanta Dvante Harine Vancha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. On my preparation to speak on the life of this Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, I initially tried to hear the lectures of various spiritual masters and my god brothers and god cousin brothers. However, they have mostly brought out the persona of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur through the glorification of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, which is the best. However, since my topic is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, I have made an humble attempt to specifically put together excerpts from the book Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava by His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, and also the biographies of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur from the ISKCON Desire Tree. There are so many quotes by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, many of which I have tried to put into a PPT presentation here. I have tried to arrange in some order, but I think mostly I have failed to do it properly. I beg your patience and tolerance for my shortcomings in this humble presentation. That I even had the audacity to attempt to share on such a great Acharya as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, please forgive me. Absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. Impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. This gives us life anew and fresh. The above verse sums up the mission of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura was a highly influential preacher of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism throughout India during the 19th and early 20th century. He was well known for having a fiery spirit, an acute intellect, and for living a simple, austere lifestyle. He was famous as the Sima Guru, a powerful lion-like guru, because of his uncompromising preaching of the Krishna conscious philosophy. If an impersonalist saw him on the street, he would cross the road in fear or turn off onto another street. For those who didn't, he would go up to them and shake them violently and say, "Why did you say the Lord has no form, you nonsense offender?" He considered it more compassionate to be interested in a person's spiritual welfare than in their material comforts. He said, "A genuine spiritual master is like a butcher who applies a sharp knife to the neck of the goat. The goat represents our innumerable material desires. The spiritual master, he stands behind this goat and lifts the sharp knife of spiritual instructions, ready to cut." By the time he was 25 years old, he had acquired an impressive reputation as a scholar of Sanskrit, mathematics, and astronomy. His astronomical treatise on the Surya Siddhanta won him the title Siddhanta Saraswati in recognition of his immense learning. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he lived up to this title by demonstrating divinely inspired erudition in defying principles of Jyotish. On another level, the name Siddhanta Saraswati indicates one whose excellence lies in explaining the Bhakti Siddhanta, the conclusion of devotional service, rather than just Jyotish. At some time later, during his youth, Bimala Prasad adopted the name Shri Varsha Bhanavi Daita Dasa, the servant of the lover of Srimati Radharani. For the purpose of propagating the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout India, he organized a mission called the Gaudiya Math, with 64 branches throughout the country, with the headquarters of the Gaudiya Math located at Mayapur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur traveled the length and breadth of India, from Bengal to Orissa, to South India, to Uttar Pradesh. During his many travels, He met with kings, scholars, politicians, religious leaders, philosophers, British aristocracy, and scientists. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was renowned for his bold stance against all false philosophies and pseudo-spiritual groups. His teachings were wholesale surrender to the absolute good. He was especially active in the field of publishing transcendental literature. His erudition was profoundly commanding and elaborate. He revolutionized Krishna consciousness preaching by giving preference to pure devotional qualifications over just lineage. And it was he who set the precedent for a Vaishnava Tridandi Sannyas, that is a renounced order of devotional life in accordance with the injunctions of revealed scriptures. He felt it a deep sense of urgency to propagate the divine teachings of Lord Chaitanya for the benefit of all the suffering world. Although outwardly he was like a lion, inwardly he was very, very sweet. He was a lifelong celibate and an influential teacher of bhakti all over India. By all historical accounts, he was extremely intelligent. The University of Calcutta offered him a chair, but he declined so that he could dedicate his life to continuing the spiritual work of his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was dedicated to using the printing press as the best medium for large-scale distribution of Krishna consciousness. He thought of the printing press as a brihat mridanga, a big mridanga. The mridangam drum, which played during kirtan, and it could be heard for a block or two, whereas the brihat mridanga, the printing press, could spread the message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura inherited the urge to preach from his father and mentor, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He had an unrelenting drive to deliver Shuddha Bhakti to all the jivas in the universe. He wanted to capture the whole territory of Maya and convert it to Krishna consciousness. Preaching meant fighting for him. Although Indian society had traditionally been deeply religious, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati insisted that mere belief was not sufficient. Thus, he openly criticized beliefs and practices held sacred by most Hindus, and especially impersonalism and demigod worship. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appreciated daring disciples who took risks in preaching and did not hedge or compromise. He cautioned his disciples that a flatterer can neither be a guru nor a preacher. And he told them, don't speak to the janata, that is the people in general, don't speak to please the janata, people in general, but to please Janardana, that is Krishna. Declare that those who do not perform Hari Bhajana are foolish and butcherers of their own souls. The public may not like our message, he said, yet it is obligatory upon us to state the truth. It is our responsibility to strongly refute the ideologies opposed to Vaishnava Dharma. Our previous acharyas did so to a great degree, and it is our duty now to follow in their footsteps. He viewed the disinclination to correct others as being a sign of a cheater. Sometimes, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had temple doors closed on him, stones hurled at him, and he had to face constant confrontation, including even bids on his life. But despite taking all risks and provoking enmity, he remained unshakably confident and never wavered in his resolve, knowing that he could not be defeated, for his message had been received from the infallible source of Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. He fully depended on Krishna's protection. He says, one who asks a guru to show him Bhagavan can never really be attracted to the sweetness of Krishna's flute, from which all Vani emanates. But those who genuinely want to serve ask for instructions to be corrected and purified, and to obtain the eyes by which they can actually see God. Godhead must be seen first through the ears. First Vani, then Vapu. The ears prepare the eyes. After immense success and probably Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's most popular preaching innovation was the staging of the diorama displays based on scriptural themes. Here Mataji's probably would be happy to hear what he said on women. Srila Saraswati Thakur advised his male disciples to cultivate a transcendental outlook towards females. Please perceive everything of this world, he said, as ingredients for serving Krishna, for everything is actually meant for Krishna's service. View all womankind as beloved consorts of Krishna and help them to engage constantly in his service. Do not consider them objects of your sense enjoyment. They are to be enjoyed by Krishna, never by the minute jiva. Further in his writings, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura had intimated his Siddha Swarupa to be Kamala Manjari, that is a young gopi, and Srila Gaura Krishna Das Babaji to be the Guna Manjari. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati once wrote of his internal feelings and position on the spiritual plane. He is the maidservant of Sri Vashabhanu Nandini, that is Srimati Radharani. Sorry, this is Vrishabhanu Nandini, that is Srimati Radharani. Her young maidservant as Nayana Mani Manjari Gopi, who is the personification of the eyes of Radha, who is the dearest to Krishna. Nayana Mani literally means the jewel of or the pupil of the eye. From Sri Krishna's perspective, the very form of Sri Radha is most enchanting. But in her form, her face is the most enchanting. And in her face, her eyes are the most enchanting. And in her eyes, the pupils, that is the Nayana Mani, are most enchanting. From Radha's point of view, her Nayana Mani are her most precious possession because she beholds Krishna with her eyes. Now we will see the advent of this great Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura appeared in this world on the 6th of February 1874 at Sri Kshetra Dham, Puri, which is one of the holiest places in India. It is famous for the temple of Lord Jagannath. And also Lord Chaitanya resided there for 18 years, absorbed in the ecstasies of Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's advent in Puri is particularly significant in the light of a statement in the Padma Purana. Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnavashiti Pavanaha Chatvaraste Kalho Bhavya Te Utkale Purushottama. In Kali Yuga, the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, which are the purifiers of the earth, will appear in Purushottama Kshetra in Utkal, Orissa. So, he was born in his parents' home, which was hardly a quarter of a mile from Lord Jagannath's temple. At his birth, the umbilical cord was wrapped around his body like an apavita, which left a permanent mark. His father was a great Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who himself was a great Vaishnava teacher in the disciplic line from Lord Chaitanya himself. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was engaged as a prominent magistrate, and he also served as a superintendent of the temple of Lord Jagannath. His mother was Srimati Bhagavati Devi. She was also a devout follower of Srimad Mahaprabhu. He was given the name Bimala Prasad, but he was often called Bimala or Bimu fondly. A little mention here on why he was named Bimala Prasad. One night, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a dream. Lord Jagannath appeared to him and told him, I didn't bring you here to Puri to execute legal matters, but to establish Vaishnava Siddhanta. To which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur replied, so you please send me somebody from your personal staff so that I can start this movement. Then Lord Jagannatha told him or directed him to pray to the deity of Bimala Devi, which is a temple in the precincts of the Jagannath temple itself. So just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had appeared in response to the call of Sri Advaita Prabhu, here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was sent by Lord Chaitanya to fulfill the prayers of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He is known as a ray of Vishnu. But even before Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's advent, his great-grandfather had predicted from his deathbed that an extraordinary sadhu would take birth in the home of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When Bimala Prasad was just 6 months old, and it was the time of Lord Jagannath's annual Rath Yatra. Usually this Rath Yatra procession takes only a few hours, but this time the cart stopped for 3 days outside the home of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur arranged for a continuous Sankirtan festival at the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. Also taking advantage of this auspicious opportunity, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur directed his wife to bring baby Bimala to the cart. And when the baby Bimala was placed at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, immediately the infant Bimala reached out his tiny hands to touch the lotus feet of the Lord. And immediately Jagannath's garland fell from his body and encircled the child. The same day, they performed the Annaprasna ceremony for little Bimala Prasad, where he was directly fed the Maha Prasad from Bimala Devi. At Jagannath temple, they have a tradition where after the bhoga is offered to Jagannath, it is first offered to Bimala Devi. After Jagannath honoring, then it's taken to Bimala Devi's temple, which is, as I said earlier, is in the temple, the confines of the huge, enormous Jagannath temple itself. And then it is taken to the Anand Bazaar, where we all enjoy Mahaprasad. So Bimala was fed with the Mahaprasad. So also a few days later, they perform that traditional ceremony where the baby is placed amidst various objects such as rice paddy, money, and scriptures to see which one he will take. That will indicate the child's future vocationally propensity or show his inclinations in his life. So little Bimla Prasad spontaneously grabbed the Srimad Bhagavatam, which indicated his devotional inclination. So after this wonderful happening on Lord Jagannath's cart, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur realized that his child was Lord Chaitanya's answer to his prayer for an empowered soul to help in his mission. So he resolved to specially care for his son, and from the very beginning, he trained him in pure devotional service. When Bimla was just around 4 years old, another incident happened that foretold of his great character as a future Acharya. He took a mango before it had been offered to the family Govardhan Shila. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur rebuked him, saying, all food is to be enjoyed by the Lord. Nothing should be taken unless first offered to Krishna. Little Bimla Prasad became greatly regretful, and immediately he vowed to never again eat mangoes. And also in later years, after he had become an acknowledged spiritual leader, when he was often offered mangoes, he refused, saying, I am an offender. Even in Bimla's childhood, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur made chanting compulsory for him, and he also initiated Bimla into the mantra for worshipping Lord Narasimha. When he was about 7 years old, his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, moved back to Calcutta. And when they were building the Bhakti Bhavan, while they were digging the foundation, they found a Kurma Shaligram Shila. Bimla Prasad was very interested to worship the Shaligram Shila. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave him his first initiation and the name Siddhanta Saraswati. He initiated his son into the worship of Lord Kurma Dev and taught him the process, how to worship and the appropriate mantras. From then on, he started wearing tilaka and following the other standards of devotional practices, which marked his formal entry into the Vaishnava Dharma. He continued to worship the Kurma Shaligram Shila every single day, even when he was schooling. He was a very expert student. However, he preferred to study the Vaishnava books of his father. Though he spent most of his time studying the books of his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he never fell behind in school. He could remember everything if he heard just once. His teachers were astonished and his father was very pleased. As a boy, Bimla Prasad delivered his elder brother, Achyutananda, from an offense he had made in his last life. This Achyutananda had a nervous disease and became very sick. And Bimla Prasad took kartas and chanted the Hare Krishna mantra constantly for about 6 days without eating. Suddenly, the Ramanuja Sampradaya tilak appeared on Achyutananda's forehead, and he said, I am a Ramanuja Vaishnava. I had committed an offense to a Gaudiya Vaishnava in my last life, and therefore I had to take this birth. Now I am relieved, and his body just fell down dead. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to give Bimla Prasad the best of secular education. However, he was not enamored by worldly academics. He declared that materialistic knowledge just converts the jiva into an ass. But he also knew that Bimla Prasad had to reach to elders of society. He had to reach to leaders of society. And for this, he would have to be culturally attuned to them, to be able to present Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message in a manner that the masses would accept. So he began his formal education at an English school, and at the age of 7 itself, he had memorized all the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And he could explain their meaning according to the Vaishnava Siddhanta too. Mostly he took lessons in Sanskrit grammar, mathematics, and astrology. but he always preferred to read devotional books rather than his school texts. After he passed an entrance examination, Vimla Prasad was admitted into the Sanskrit school of Calcutta. There he spent considerable time in the library studying various books on philosophy. He also studied the Vedas. As a student, he contributed many articles to various religious journals. But he did not continue with his college studies for very long. In 1897, he started an autonomous Chatuspati, that is a Sanskrit school, where from many journals and many articles on astrology were published. By the time he was 25, he was well versed in Sanskrit, mathematics, and astrology, and he had established himself as an author and publisher of many magazine articles. He translated and published many ancient books too. Vimla Prasad was clearly not an ordinary boy. He had the exceptional ability to remember and comprehend all kinds of topics. He was a voracious reader, and his ability to exactly recall passages he had read only once earned him the title Living Encyclopedia. Vimla Prasad, he did not waste any time in frivolous sports or any similar worthless diversions. From the very beginning, he was always absorbed in fulfilling the mission of human life, and he was spontaneously attracted to Krishna Bhakti. Once a reputed Babaji, he noticed that Bimla had failed to pay him obeisances. And this Babaji asked Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, why this is so? And Bhaktivinoda Thakur replied, because he does not offer danvats to Sahajiyas. It was 1895 when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur accepted service under the Tripura royal government as an editor for the life histories of the royal line of the independent Tripura kingdom. Later, he was entrusted with the responsibility of educating the young princesses, that is, of the Tripura government. Their names were Yuvraj Bahadur and Rajkumar Brajendra. He taught them Bengali and Sanskrit. After some time, he took up the responsibilities for inspecting various activities at the royal palace and for the state of Tripura. However, he quickly developed an aversion for all this because everywhere he found envy and corruption in every corner which he went for inspection. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave notice to Maharaj that he wanted to retire. The Maharaja approved of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's plans for renunciation, and he awarded him full pay, like pension. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw that his son had the potential to carry forward the work that he had begun. So he took him for many preaching engagements, to many holy places, to meet many sadhus. And he asked Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to apply his accelerating intelligence in studying Vaishnava philosophy and all the doctrines that opposed it to. Young Bimla took naturally to such training, imbibing his father's mood of full surrender to Krishna, with a compassionate desire to inspire Hari Bhakti in others. Bimla became recognized as a nascent genius, delighting in debates on many diverse subjects. His masterly command of knowledge and insight rendered him undefeatable. Although he was generally respectable and polite, he was so dedicated to speaking the truth that he would just not stand any misleading statements or misrepresentations of the facts in any field. He did not fail to expose the insufficiencies, even if it was presented by his honorable superiors. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur once accompanied his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, on a pilgrimage to Balasore, Ramuna, Bhubaneswar and Puri. And as instructed by his father, he would give lectures from the Chaitanya Charitamrita with profound purpose. And through the initiative of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the flow of bhakti again began to flood the world. With his father again, he visited many tirthas and heard discourses from very many learned pandits. And once when he accompanied his father on a pilgrimage to Kashi, Prayag and Gaya and other holy places, but at Kashi there was a discussion regarding the Ramanuja Sampradaya. After this, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life seemed to have taken a turn. His inclination towards renunciation increased, and he quietly continued to search for a guru. He was 26 now. He was 26 years old now, and his father, understanding his mind, he guided him to take initiation from the renounced Vaishnava saint Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. So, following his father's advice, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur went to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and begged to be accepted as his disciple. However, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji replied that he would not be able to give Diksha unless he received the approval of Lord Chaitanya. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur returned the next day, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji said, I have asked Lord Chaitanya, and he said, erudition is extremely insignificant in comparison to devotion to the Supreme Lord. I cannot accept you now. You are too highly qualified. So hearing this, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati thought, since Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was a servant of Kapata Chudamani, that is the supreme deceiver, hence he must be testing him by withholding his consent. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he remained firmly determined, and he remarked that Ramanujacharya had been sent back 18 times before he finally received the grace of his Gurudev Goshtipurna. Thus, he too would wait patiently until Gaur Kishore Das Babaji would bestow his benedictions upon him. So, seeing the determination and commitment of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji became impressed and he gave him Diksha in the blissful grove of Godruma Dvipa. And he told him to preach the absolute truth and to keep aside all other works. So it was the year 1901 that he received spiritual initiation from Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. After his initiation, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sort of moved away from his government work. But still many people followed him. He gave up his astronomy, but still he had many followers in this astronomical and astrological circles. Later, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur became Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the preacher, still devotees would come and ask him to read their palms. People were very interested in Jyotish. So sometimes he would look at their palms and just for humor, he would close their palms strongly and say, all bad. You just chant Hare Krishna. So again, in 1905, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was around 31 years old. He took a vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra 1 billion times. So he sat in a grass hut near the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, and he would chant the mantra day and night. for 10 years. He would cook rice once a day in an earthen pot and eat only that, nothing more. He slept on the floor, and when the rainwater leaked through the grass ceiling of his hut, he sat beneath an umbrella and continued chanting. It was in 1911, his aging father was lying ill. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati took up a challenge against the pseudo-Vaishnavas. Actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to address those Panditas, but since he was not well, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati showed his father how he could, defeat these Panditas. So his father agreed to let him go. So on behalf of his indisposed father, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati addressed these Panditas from all over India who had gathered there for a 3-day discussion to see who was greater, a Brahmana or Vaishnava. So he began quoting Vedic references glorifying the Brahmanas. And at this, the Smarta scholars became very much pleased. So by the time he spoke on the qualities of the Vaishnavas and the relationship between the two, the joy of the Vaishnava haters disappeared. After this speech, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was congratulated by the president of the conference, and thousands thronged around him. They just loved the way that they had agreed to whatever he said. So that day, it was victory for Vaishnavism. During that time, Bengal was full of various Sahajya groups who followed worldly practices in the name of spiritualism. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he launched a severe attack on all these religious groups. He did not spare anyone who deviated from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. His father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, left this world on 23rd June 1914 at Calcutta. And at that time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was at Mayapur. Although he received the news by way of telegram, due to the monsoon rains at that time and flooding in many places, the trains were delayed, and hence he reached home late. It was around 8 p.m. and so the cremation ceremony had been performed by his other brothers. So entering his home, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur found that his mother was very calm and composed. She did not exhibit any signs of grief. So, wanting to pacify his mother with some meaningful words, he said, "Today our master has re-entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord, and hence it is a day of great happiness and not the slightest grief." His mother, turning towards him, she said, "He departed after offering you his abundant blessings. He instructed that you should serve Mayapur Dham and propagate the message of Sriman Mahaprabhu." Later, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established a Pushpa Samadhi in honor of his father at Mayapur. His mother Bhagavati Devi also disappeared a few years later. And at her passing, she held on to the hands of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and implored him to preach the glories of Lord Gauranga and his Dhamma. So, accepting the instructions of his parents as his foremost duty, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took up the task of preaching with intense enthusiasm and vigor. However, a year later, that was on the 16th of November 1915, his Gurudev entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord. There is so much to say here about how he argued with the other disciples who wanted to take the body of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, but I'll stick to speaking only about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, feeling intense separation from his beloved father and dear Gurudev, he ceased all work and he lamented, "To whom will I show my articles and books? Who will take pleasure in my writings and encourage me to continue? Who will take pleasure in hearing about my preaching work and the increasing splendor of the Dharma and our services to it?" Practically foregoing food and sleep, he remained engaged in intense bhajan. His heart reverberated with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's order to not renounce the service of Mahaprabhu. Shortly afterward, one night at the Yoga Peeth, in a dream-like revelation, he saw approaching him the Panchatattva, the six Goswamis, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and numerous other great devotees of Lord Chaitanya. And they told him, "Saraswati, why are you worrying? Begin the task of establishing Shuddha Bhakti. Distribute Gauravani universally. Expand the service to Gauranama, Gauradama, and Gaurakama with unbreached enthusiasm. Broadcast Bhakti Siddhanta. We are eternally with you and ready to help you. You will get unlimited support from people, immeasurable opulence, and boundless scholarship awaits to serve your mission. All will manifest when required. So come forward with full strength to distribute the message of Mahaprabhu all over the globe. No worldly hindrance or menace will be able to obstruct this undertaking of yours. We are forever with you." And thenceforth, his enthusiasm for preaching was fully rekindled and unretractable. Now, fully prepared, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur began a new chapter in his life, wholesale war on Maya. He inaugurated it by taking sannyas. It was Gaur Purnima, the 27th of March, 1980. So, having spent the previous day chanting Harinam, he covered his head with a cloth, and finding no suitable sannyas guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur accepted sannyasa by taking a tridanda and sitting in meditation in front of a picture of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Thus, at the age of 44, he accepted Tridandi sannyasa. Aside from his phenomenal preaching success in India, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's greatest contribution was his Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, whom he initiated in 1933. And he inspired him to distribute Krishna consciousness all over the world in the English language. Once when Srila Prabhupada was asked to describe his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, "What can I say? He was a Vaikuntha man." Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur continued to supervise preaching work. And when he found that his mission had attained its goal to a reasonable extent, he decided to pass into the eternal service of Lord Gauranga. So, from as early as 1935 itself, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur regularly hinted at his imminent passing. He said, "Our life will be crowned with success if the body wears out constantly speaking Harikatha." In early 1936, when he was at Puri, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mood was increasingly withdrawn and meditative, and he openly and repeatedly vented his inner longing to reside at the foot of Govardhan, often quoting, "Pratyashame tvam kuru Govardhana purnam." O Govardhana, fulfill my desires. Nija Nikata Nivasham Dehi Govardhana Tvam. O Govardhana, give me a dwelling place close to you. And later in the same year, he shifted back to Mayapur from Puri. And a few days before the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he called his foremost disciples, showering blessings upon all the devotees who had gathered there. He gave them the following instructions. With the utmost enthusiasm, preach the message of Rupa Raghunatha. Our ultimate goal is to become a speck of dust touching the lotus feet of the followers of Rupa Goswami. All of you remain united in allegiance to the spiritual master. I have upset many persons' minds. Many might have considered me their enemy because I was obliged to speak the plain truth of service and devotion to the absolute Godhead. I have given them all troubles only so that they might turn their face toward the personality of Godhead without any desire for gain and with unalloyed devotion. Surely someday they will be able to understand that. Then he said, let our bodies, which are like those of aged oxen, be offered into the Sankirtan Yagna of Lord Chaitanya and his associates. Do not give up the worship of Hari, even amidst hundreds of dangers, hundreds of insults, or hundreds of persecutions. Do not become unenthusiastic upon seeing that the majority of people in this world who are not accepting the message of Krishna's sincere worship. Never give up the glorification of the topics of Krishna. They are your own personal bhajan, your very all in all. Being humble like a blade of grass and tolerant like a tree, constantly glorify Hari. Then on December 31st, 1936, the early morning, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told one of his disciples who was standing around him, to sing one of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajans, which the song begins with Tunhu Daya Sagara Taryate Prani, which means, O Lord, I am extremely unfortunate. My attachment for the holy name has never come about. The heart of Bhaktivinoda is overwhelmed with sadness. Upon hearing these last lines, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur clasped his hand to his forehead and wept profusely. Tears of humility decorated his cheeks. On the morning of 1st January 1937, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur left this world and re-entered the eternal pastimes of Sriman Mahaprabhu. He has taught us by his exemplary life how fearless he was, the Lion Guru. He did not hesitate to preach the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nor the previous Gauriya Vaishnavas. He declared war on Maya. He was simple and soft, yet arrogant and a force to reckon with. One of his famous quotes, if to carry out the command of the Vaishnava Guru, I have to be arrogant or brutish or suffer eternal perdition, I am prepared to welcome such eternal damnation and even sign a contract to that effect. I will not listen to the words of malicious persons in lieu of the command of Sri Gurudev. I will dissipate with indomitable courage and conviction the currents of thought of the rest of the world, relying on the strength derived from the lotus feet of Gurudev. I confessed this arrogance. We shall remain ever grateful for his contribution to the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and more so for his loving disciple, his divine grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who was the very personification of his Gurudev. He was also fearless and determined to fulfill his Gurudev's request. And in turn, he has given us our dear spiritual masters, who are no less warriors, guiding us, the most fallen souls in this great Krishna consciousness movement, for the deliverance of all humanity, as initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of which we are indeed fortunate to be a part. I've said it earlier, but I'll just repeat here again. In Radha Govinda's eternal pastimes in Golaka Vrindavan, Srila Saraswati Thakur serves as Nayana Mani Manjari. His Samadhi Mandir is at the Chaitanya Mat in Mayapur, and his Pushpa Samadhis are at Radhakund and also at Radha Damodar Temple. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Thank you once again to all the Matajis, and especially Grace Malini Sundari Mataji, for this opportunity to glorify Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and for all of you for patiently hearing me. Please forgive my fallacies in this presentation and bless me to become a sincere devotee. Hare Krishna. I think